Kingston Industries, so Kingston Town Industries, that tests whether you can do journal entries. It's not a difficult question, but it is a good exercise to see whether you can do journals. Kingston Town Industries was incorporated in 2017 on the L2X stock exchange in South Africa. Mr. Rastaman, the founder and managing director of the company, is a strong believer in the use of the medical cannabis to treat conditions such as nausea and vomiting after chemotherapy, improving the appetite of HIV/AIDS patients, reducing chronic muscle pain and muscle spasms, as well as for the treatment of severe forms of epilepsy. Within the partial legislation of the use of cannabis, the medical attributes of the marijuana plant became once more very topical in South Africa. And for this reason, Mr. Rastaman and the board of directors decided that the time has come to broaden their capital base and expand their plant capacity to produce more of these cannabis-based medical-related products. The authorized share capital of the company consists of the following: no par value shares, 5 million ordinary shares, 1.5 million 8% compulsory redeemable cumulative preference shares, and 1 million 9% non-cumulative compulsory convertible preference shares. The issued share capital of the company, according to the latest financial statements as at 30 June 2018, stated the following information pertaining to the issued share capital and reserves to the state. 1 million shares issued at 5 Rand, 5 million 8% cumulative compulsory redeemable shares issued at 6 Rand per share, and retained earnings of 2.1 million. Now, what is required from us to do the journal entries to record the above share transactions in the accounting records of Kingston for the period ended 31 March 2019. Show the transactions with the underwriter separately, very clearly specified. Don't go and add it to something, because then that entry will be totally wrong. You won't get any marks. Journal narrations, you do not have to show that. At a board of directors meeting on 30 November 2018, the board decided that existing shareholders should be rewarded for their loyalty to the company, and a rights issue of 10 ordinary shares for every 100 ordinary shares are being done at a price of 5.50 Rand per share. The share was trading currently at that stage at 6.20 Rand per share. Now clearly you can see that it's a bargain for them to take it up at 5.50 Rand a share, because even immediately after they've taken up the share and they sell that share, probably they're going to make a small profit. Furthermore, they decided to use these proceeds to partially fund the redemption of 200,000 cumulative compulsory redeemable preference shares at 6.20 Rand per share at 31 December 2018. The rights issue had to be done and finalized by 31 December 2018. The rights issue had to be done and finalized also by 31 December 2018. All the shareholders had exercised their rights to acquire the ordinary shares. Okay, so what happened here? We had a rights issue. It's a normal issue of shares. The only thing that you have to work out how many shares were issued. There was 1 million shares in issue already. They are receiving 10 shares for every 100 held, so 1 million divided by 100 multiplied by 10 times 5.50 Rand. And that is the amount that we want to raise. 1 million divided by 100 times 10, that's the amount that we want to raise by this rights issue, 550,000. So in our bank account, 550,000, order shares application and allotment account for 550,000, and then I'm going to debit that account and I'm going to credit order share capital statement of changes in equity. Now you can ask me, is it necessary to show the ordinary shares application and allotment account? And yes, it is. If you didn't show it, you would have lost some marks. Why? Because guys, all the shareholders did not take up the shares at the same date. So there would have been a time lapse from when the announcement was made that they have the right to take up these shares until the last date that they had in order to do so. So therefore, in practice, the company wouldn't have received the whole 550,000 at the last day. And then it could have said, okay, well, this is what I received, one shot, take it to share capital. No, it happened gradually over time. So therefore, because it happened gradually over time, each and every time that I received the money, I bank it, and I have to keep that money in some kind of account. And that some kind of an account is our share application and allotment account. Great. Then they have decided to redeem the 200,000 of that 500,000 redeemable pref shares. And they've decided that the price at what they're going to redeem it is R6.20 per share. Now, if we look there, the price that it was initially been issued for was R6 a share. So therefore, they're going to pay a premium to those shareholders of 20 cents per share. How many shares? 200,000 shares. How much can I take out of the capital account? I can only take 200,000 times R6 out of the capital account. It's all that's lying there. The excess of 20 cents per share is going to be taken out of retained earnings. So 8% cumulative pref share capital account. Statement of financial position, this is loan capital, 1.2 million. Retained earnings, the premium part, the 40,000, it's the 200,000 shares at 20 cents. And then I'm going to pay them the full amount of 1,240,000. If I repay the share, I cancel the share certificate. They are no longer shareholders of this entity. A decision was also taken at the meeting to issue an additional 1 million ordinary shares as well as 300,000 9% non-cumulative compulsory convertible preference shares. The share issue was finalized on 1 March 2019 and it was underwritten by Jamaica Bank, which charged an underwriter's commission of 5% on the total value of the shares issued. The preference shares were issued at a price of R4 per share. An oversubscription, it's colored differently, an oversubscription of ordinary shares was received, whilst the underwriter had to take up 20,000 preference shares. So there was an undersubscription on preference shares. The underwriter had to take up 20,000 shares. At what price was these shares, the preference shares, issued? At R4 a share. So they had to pay in 80,000 rand. The amount paid to the underwriters on 7 March 2019 was 360,000, and at the same date 180,000 rand was transferred to the unsuccessful applicants. So clearly then, if there was unsuccessful share applicants, that must then refer back to the ordinary shares that were issued. So we were allowed to issue 1 million ordinary shares. We don't know at what price. That is a big question mark. But 180,000 was then the amount that we've received over and above the amount that we wanted to raise as capital for ordinary shares. So your starting point here is the amount that they've paid the underwriter. Why? Because on what do I pay underwriter's commission? On the total value of shares that I wanted to issue. So we're going to start here. We say the underwriter's commission equals 360,000. They tell us that equals 5% of the total amount that they wanted to raise. There it is, 5%. This mouse, it's going to kill me. 5%, right. So that means that we can work out what was the total value of the capital that they wanted to raise. So 360,000 times 5%, there's a zero missing, times 5% equals 7.2 million rand. That is the total capital that they wanted to raise. Now, they tell us how much pref capital they wanted to raise. They say that they have R4 each, 300,000 pref shares at R4 each. There's the 300,000 over there. So that's 300,000 pref shares. Plus at R4 each, we can now deduct from our total proceeds of 7.2 million. So that is 1.2 million. So that means that the difference between those two must have been equal to the amount that I wanted to raise for ordinary shares, each 6 million rand. Now, they have repaid at the end of the day 180,000 to unsuccessful applicants. So the amount that they've received from the applicants for ordinary shares was equal to 6,180,000. They wanted to raise 1.2 million rand for pref shares. They've told us it is going to be 300,000 pref shares that they want to issue. Furthermore, they tell us that the underwriter had to take up 20,000 preference shares. So we have only received applications for preference shares equal to 280,000. General public, so together, it gives us 300,000, which is the 300,000 which is what they wanted to issue. The underwriter took up 20,000, so the general public must have applied for 280,000. Great, now we've got the full picture. All we have to do now is to journalize the picture. Let's start here with the preference shares. How much money did we receive from the public? We received from the public 1120. Bank 1120. Preference share application and allotment account 1120. And remember, the question states specifically, show the transactions with the underwriter separately, very specifically. So therefore, the underwriter took up the shortfall of 80,000. So we would have debited bank 80,000, preference share application and allotment account 80,000. And then we would have taken out the balance of that share application and allotment account, 1.2 million, and we would have credited 9% non-cumulative pref share capital account. Now the ordinary shares, how much have we received? We have received applications to the value of 6,180,000. So bank, 6,180,000, ordinary shares application and allotment account, statement of financial position, 6,180,000. How much were we allowed to issue? We were only allowed to issue 6 million rand worth of ordinary shares. So therefore we can only take out of the allotment account 6 million, which we transfer then to our ordinary share capital account. The repayment of the excess monies happened on 7 March 2019. So that's 7 March 2019 is a different date from the date on which we've done the allotment. So debit ordinary share application and allotment account, then we're going to clean it out completely, 180,000, and bank credit 180,000. On this date, we also paid the underwriter's commission, so we're going to debit underwriter's commission or retained earnings 360,000, and we're going to credit bank 360,000.